when you open up the Bitcoin chart and you see the MACD on the daily doing this. Shout out to Kevin Svensson bringing this on my radar. Just saw it, had to do a video on it, especially after I dug into the data. I'm going to break down this move. I wanted to really dig into what's happening here with this MACD move, and there's some important things that I'm going to go over in this video. Namely, wait till you see the last 2 times that this move happened and what Bitcoin did next. When we look at Bitcoin price now in the charts, it becomes a little bit more believable that we might see another higher high. But there are there's two underlying factors here, warnings you could say, because there's 2 things that weren't happening in the previous times. And I'm going to dig into this MACD move. We're going to look at the similarities of what's happening on this MACD with those 2 moves. But first things first, before we dive into that, I just want to go over those 2 things that were not happening then very quickly, and then we're going to dig into it. So this is the monthly chart. We've been talking about this. 50-month moving average, Bitcoin contending with it. This was not happening. This is the first time this has ever happened for Bitcoin. 11 days left on this monthly. Second thing, as you know, the 50-week moving average in blue it just crossed below the 200-week moving average. This is something that has never happened on the Bitcoin chart on this weekly. And so you can even see the wick of resistance on this weekly candle right now, 2 days left. So this is something that was not happening in these 2 times that I'm about to show you, and the similarities that we see on this chart. Let's just do it. I don't want to spend too much time. I want to just break this down. This is the MACD cross. The first thing to note right before we look at these 2 previous times is the fact that it's not just the MACD line crossing the signal line, but it's the very fact that it's doing it above the 0 on the histogram. So you can see here, we've come out of the red on the histogram and we're kind of putting in that second green candle now. There's a move of momentum. We see this MACD crossing above the signal line, and it's all happening above that histogram. It's not below, right? So a move like this, also bullish back in November, you could say, but it's way in an oversold territory. So I really wanted to break down and try and get an idea to better understand and visualize what's happening here, because we already had this crazy move of momentum to the upside, overbought environment, and we're cooling down, but we're not so cooled down where we're like oversold, right? So I wanted to see, well, when did this happen before? And check this out, everybody. This is ridiculous. So here's a chart now. You can see Bitcoin on the charts, 24,700. This is right around December 2020. First things first, that date is very notable because it was November 2020. It was, somewhere around right here, probably. Bitcoin breaking those bull market doors. It's a macro Fibonacci retracement area that we talk about for years on this YouTube channel. I'm not going to dive into it, but this was like the beginning of Bitcoin entering the bull market doors, this huge confirmation. So right there, right after that, we're in this huge upside momentum. And look at this chart. Number one, note that we had the MACD. So let's look at the similarities here. You can see the MACD was kind of cruising to the upside, came down, and then here's this MACD crossing above the signal line, and it's all happening above this histogram, right? So that's number one. So let's close that. Let's go and look at the similarities now of these 2 charts. So this is back in 2020, and the move, look at the move that followed for Bitcoin off the charts, right? So that's 2020. And then we go to today's move and check out not just the MACD line right here, but also you can get a similarity of the stock RSI, this quicker moving momentum oscillator. It's up towards overbought, right? So I wanted to see, what was it in overbought territory back then? Where was it then? And you can even see right here, not in overbought right now, but towards like close to it, you could say. We go back to 2020 and look where the momentum oscillators were, towards overbought right here when the move was happening, and also towards overbought when the move was happening on the stock RSI. So quicker moving momentum oscillator, slower moving momentum oscillator towards the overbought area. So the move so consistent across the board comparative to what is happening right now. And then the second thing, I went back even further and check it out. It happened again. This might be more relevant to today because this is actually Bitcoin exiting the bear market of 2018 into 2019. And this is actually where we start seeing the similarities when we go to the weekly chart, and this is actually daily, but if I go to a weekly, and let me just zoom out really quick, this is where we start seeing the similarities on these charts. Look at this weekly move right above that yellow line, 786 exiting, all the way back here out of the last bear market, exiting, even just testing this 50-week moving average, testing the 50-week moving average. Now, all these two moves on the weekly zoomed out, look at it right now. And this is what it looks like back in 2019, the MACD. And let me open up the MACD so we check this out. But here's the move. We're kind of just seeing a huge move of momentum, come back down, MACD line crosses above the signal line again, all happening above the histogram, right? So let's close that. And this, you see all these oscillators. What's happening once again? Stock RSI in the middle, quicker moving momentum oscillator, close to overbought. RSI, right around overbought. All these indicators lining up as Bitcoin price is just putting in these higher highs, higher lows on the price chart. And then what is it? You go back to the charts today. The similarities are insane. And I'm not going to sit here and say, that's it, everybody. It happened those last two times, even that last bear market that looks so similar, and it really does. So that means it's definitely going to happen again. Nobody in the world can sit here and say that, but I present that data to you in the clearest way that I could possibly do it, in a quick way. And I ask you, comment below, what do you think of that? I mean, when I see things like that, this is the same type of thing that we've been doing YouTube videos on this YouTube channel for over 5 years. And these are the types of things that we spot, we notice, and the consistency in which Bitcoin actually plays out. We always use caution along the way because it's ridiculous to get overly confident. But the way that the consistency of these cycles keeps playing out, it just keeps happening, right? So I'm going to continue to track this data, and I'll do so optimistically, excitedly, knowing that anything can happen. And in the back of my mind, I'm always prepared for something new to happen, right? Maybe the monthly can't make it through the 50-month moving average in blue. Maybe we can't break this 50-week moving average, which just crossed the 200-week moving average. These new things that are happening. Maybe Bitcoin does see a bit of resistance. Maybe macroeconomic events this time around are just too much, and it's just, we're not going to get that same move. Maybe that does happen. I'm prepared. I'm prepared mentally, but I can't help but track this data because it's ridiculous data. And there's all these moving parts and these moving indicators and all of this good stuff. And we see how it's all coming together right now in the daily chart. So an explosive move for Bitcoin at the end of the day, this lends itself to the possibility that it could happen, meaning this data really shows how it's realistic because it's happened before. I do want to say something. When I zoomed out and I started trying to find areas where this happened before, it's going to be extremely difficult for me to do it while I'm recording. I noticed it made a kind of a close, similar move. I just don't remember exactly where it was on the charts, but maybe it could have been something like here back in September 2021. And I'm going to open that up just so that you can see that. So if we open this MACD up, so what I'm saying is this. You can see actually how it's coming back down, and we had a MACD crossing the signal line. Instances like this did happen, right? So, and here it is again in November 2021. These instances did happen, but I think what's most relevant to take into account, and it's why I'm not really covering that as such a similar move, is simply because when it comes to things like the time frame that we are in right now, it's a completely different type of feel, right? This was top of bull market vibes on the weekly and the monthly and stuff. This is the top of the bull market, right? This is November 2021. You go over here and we look at November 2021, and right now I'm on a monthly chart in November 2021. Look at where the actual momentum oscillator was, right? We're actually like right in overbought at that moment. We're at the lower end. We're at this bottoming range. So time frame is relevant. So just let me know what you think below, everybody. I really appreciate you watching. Please hit that like, hit the subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.